Our first guest is Cameron Walker with the Tulsa Habitat for Humanity. Cameron, good to have you, lad.
Well, appreciate the invite.
Let's talk a little bit about the history, if you will, of Habitat. How did it start? Where? When?
So Americus, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, a gentleman named Millard and his wife Linda Fuller began Habitat for Humanity International in 1976. And they employed something that they referred to as partnership housing. Easiest kind of adage to kind of attribute to it is kind of the hand up model, not the hand out model. Mm-hmm. And so we still kind of adhere to that original philosophy today.
Jimmy Carter is heavily involved, former president, in Habitat for Humanity, which I think if you needed a spokesperson, man, you can't miss with Jimmy Carter for all he's done with Habitat.
Yeah, President and Rosalind Carter have been extremely supportive, both benefactors, volunteers for Habitat. I'm often in conversations, he is the first name that comes up. And so, yes, I think as much as he was known for as president, he certainly has kind of built name recognition with Habitat as well.
Yeah, I saw a video, you know, he had to have this recent surgery, but I saw him the other day, 95 years old, and he can still drive a nail.
Yeah, they just finished a build in Nashville, Tennessee, so doing well.
Let's talk a little bit about the organization itself as it applies here in this part of the country. How does it work? Do you choose somebody or do you start the unit? What comes first, chicken, egg?
Well, it's kind of both. We're not only a builder, but one of the major things that we do is actually negotiate and secure affordable financing for our homeowners. We do as much in the banking sector as we do on the construction side.
Really?
Yeah. And so the United States is going through a tremendous affordable housing crisis. And this is the result of fairly stagnant wages over the last 2 decades. But at that same time, cost of land has continued to rise, materials for construction continues to rise, financing is harder to access, especially after the 2008 housing crisis. And so it has really put a tremendous cost burden on a huge number of not only Oklahoma, but United States families. And so the folks that we deal with come to us, and they are typically, they have never owned a home, but as a result, they are paying above 30% of their income on housing. And most often, we see families that are paying over half of what they make every month on housing. Mm-hmm. And so our job is to essentially structure financing for a home that keeps their cost of housing at or below 30% of their take-home pay, and thereby kind of freeing up disposable income for a vehicle, for education, for children. And so that's a huge part of what we do.
Hence the phrase, hand up as opposed to hand out.
Absolutely.
Which I can see the benefits of working that method. Are bankers pretty easy to work with on this project?
They absolutely are. There is something called a CRA credit that many banks need as something to fulfill kind of their statutory and regulatory commitments with the Department of Treasury. And so essentially what they are required to do is lend a certain percentage of their holdings to low-income borrowers. And the real difficult part of that is most banks, they're there to make money. And so their brick and mortar structures are often in more affluent areas in town. And so they don't have necessarily direct connection into the communities where the folks that they actually need to lend to reside. So we act as a bridge between those two. And we do over a year plus worth of work with our families, sometimes more, getting them ready, repairing credit, taking care of debt. And we essentially then kind of do a warm handoff with our banking partners and hand them a gift-wrapped loan file. And so the banks really like it. I believe more banks would do it but it's just that kind of disconnection just from a very physical standpoint. So,
Sure.
so we've got 5 banking partners right now that have been tremendous. We're seeking more. We're in the midst of a tremendous ramp up. Last fiscal year, we built 16 homes. This year, we'll build 40. And in the next 3 years, we are on pace to build about 100 single-family homes. And so the need for lending is there. The need for volunteers to come out and work on those homes is very real. And then a big piece of what we do that goes way before the construction is land acquisition. And so it's a complex puzzle, but you know, as you noted, we've got a lot of support, everything from President Carter, but down on boots on the ground. Many churches, synagogues, mosques, companies, all come out and are very supportive. And so we benefit greatly from that, and ultimately our homeowners do.
You know, it sounds to me like you're a living, breathing Rubik's Cube, you know, that you're constantly shifting, trying to get all the colors to align.
Yeah.
So that you can say, ha, the puzzle is solved again.
Absolutely.
When it comes now to buying supplies or obtaining supplies, how does that work? Because there's a lot of expense there.
There is. We are fortunate that both there are some local companies and some national partners through Habitat for Humanity International that supply many things. We have a local partner that supplies all of the windows for our homes, thermal windows, and they have been a longtime supporter of our housing work. We also have companies that provide electrical components and things that go into the home, but there is a very real cost with a lot of what we do. Concrete is very expensive, lumber is very expensive, but at every turn we certainly try our best to buy in bulk. We try to work with economies of scale, but we are the one builder when we go to a vendor that if somebody's going to extend some kind of benefit or discount,
Sure.
we typically can be a recipient of that because of the work we're doing. So
It would seem to me, too, that you can't just have any Tom, Dick, or Harry come in off the street who's carrying a hammer saying, I can help. They need supervision. So that tells me you got to have folk who understand the hammer and the nail at all levels that you can call on or who volunteer. Am I reading that right?
absolutely. So we have a construction staff of about 6 superintendents, and they work directly with our volunteers. Now, volunteers come in all shapes and form. Some are much more handy with the hammer, others less. But the good thing about building a home is the need for volunteers and the great variety of opportunities to work on the house are pretty limitless. And you can come out there with virtually no experience. We will find something that you are good at and that will be helpful on the day. But we love those repeat volunteers, and we have a significant number of them that are giving up their time every Saturday, coming out and working and giving back to the community.
And we need to stress, a lot of folks don't realize this, but there are codes that you guys have to meet.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you got to knock it out of the park and make sure that all codes are met before the house will pass inspection.
Absolutely. The city of Tulsa, as great of a partner as they are, they're not going to turn a blind eye to subpar, deficient work. And so, yes, you're correct. We have to adhere to every inspection that every other builder adheres to. We also go above and beyond on a number of things. One of the things we take great pride in is all of our home are Energy Star certified. And so not only the upfront cost of the home, but we are concerned for our homeowners' sake the ongoing expenses. The more that we can do to lower their monthly utility bills, the better that ultimately is for those homeowners. So we are very proud of the product we put on the ground. We're also very proud and think that those homes are still going to look good. They're going to appreciate over time.
And that all is the kind of language the bank is going to say, oh yeah, tell me more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, boy, it all begins to click now. I mean, I totally understand. Cameron, thank you.
Well, I appreciate the
coming
invite.
by. I tell you what I'd like to do down the road, maybe we can get out, There might be one under construction. We could get video and bring it back in and talk about some of the people involved.
We've got over 20 homes in construction right now, so we build 6 days a week. We'd love to have you.
I'm going to take you up on that.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. Thanks
Thank
again
you.
for coming by. Partnering for Pets and the Tulsa Animal Welfare Organization are both somebody, well, they're folks you need to know about. We'll have more right after this.